This is the finals match of the Cornerstone event that we had in Portland, Oregon at the Portland Game Store. At the top of the screen is Steve playing his Fire Druid deck, and at the bottom of the screen is Stu playing his Fire Druid deck. So we had a lot of Druid versus Druid matches in this tournament, but this final is pretty close. The closest we have, I think, to an actual mirror match going on here. Both decks very similar. I think the only difference I can think of off the top of my head is that Stu is relying more on using towns. He has like 3 towns in his atlas to get some additional value out of his exceptional minions. I took a quick peek at what Steve was able to mulligan into. He's starting the game with 2 banishes in his hand, which feels pretty strong. Like 2 banishes, and I think he top decked his spell for turn. It looks like a Boudica. So not a ton of early minion power for him yet, but he's got a lot of very, very strong, very dangerous cards. Stu, there's that town that we just talked about. Stu getting that out again, turn 2, which is like kind of optimal play for him. Getting it turn 2, getting it in the center as a launching pad to start casting out his exceptionals. Steve meeting him in the middle. Meeting him in the middle with the Funeral Pyre. 2 mana for turn here. Based on what's in his hand now, I don't think that he can make use of it. And then it is just a decision on whether or not to keep Tawny back or to fly Tawny forward to the Funeral Pyre. I think it's a dangerous... Oh, he does have a 2-drop. It's a Jihad. Jihad is going to be very difficult for Stu here. If Steve can get enough minions on board. Steve choosing to leave Tawny where it is, which I think is really strong, because like you see here, turn 3, Stu gets his desert out. And if he had moved Tawny forward, it would have just been pinged off of the board immediately from that desert. Siege Giant for 3 with a discount from town. Getting that out early. Steve untapping his Druid. Looks like he drew a spell for turn, excuse me. Tapping for a third sight. Third sight is Desert. Stu also keeping Tawny on the back row there. Just because they know they're playing into a mirror match here. They know each of them has a lot of deserts in their deck. So the likelihood that you get a desert and you get Tawny pinged off the board is very high. So they're both playing a little defensively here. Steve opting to advance his Tawny forward and spend one of his disintegrates on the Siege Giant. I think he won the Siege Giant, like poses a decent threat as a 4-power minion, swinging in 4 per turn. But also since because Steve had 2 disintegrates in his hand, he probably felt a little more comfortable spending one of those to remove that threat early. Stu starting his turn here with 3 mana. I think he tapped for a sight. So he is on 3 mana, but he does have that town out. I see a Colicky Dragonets in his hand. That's what he's going to choose to play. Yeah, Colicky Dragonets, end of turn, will ping Tawny for a point of damage. And then passing back to Steve. Steve tapping. I think tapping to play a site? Yeah, tapping to play a site. So he must have drawn a site for turn 4. It's a sinkhole, which can do a lot of work for him if he removes that town. Sinkhole summons Tawny back onto the board. And if I were Steve, I would probably use that sinkhole now to deny Stu the use of that town. Set him back to 2 mana. Put him back up to 3 for that turn. Steve's spending the second Disintegrate from his hand, so that's both Disintegrates in the deck gone, to remove that Dragonette threat immediately. I think he didn't want to get pinged. He didn't want to get Tawny pinged off the board again. And then choosing the pass turn. So, not using the sinkhole yet. Stu starting his turn with Stu starting the turn with 3 mana, attacking the sinkhole site with Tawny. Stu tapping for a site, playing his own sinkhole, and then immediately spending that sinkhole to destroy Steve's sinkhole. So I think that was probably unfortunate that Steve didn't use his sinkhole immediately to get rid of that town, because Stu just continuing to gain value from that town, playing out a red cap for 2 mana, hitting for 3. Steve just double checking on if he gets that mana from the sinkhole that he plays on turn, and the answer is yes. Like, when a site enters the realm, you immediately get that mana, and then again at the beginning of every turn, each of your turns, you get that mana in your mana pool. So by playing that sinkhole on his turn, he gets 4 mana in his mana pool, and then just an insane amount of value out of that town, being able to play red caps and kobolds, striking out Steve's Tawny at end of turn there. So yeah, I think that was just it's unfortunate that Steve chose to not take the town immediately on his previous turn. I think that might come back to haunt him this game as Stu just continues to leverage the advantage of that mana discount. Steve playing a Forge, bringing him back up to 4 mana. He's going to pay 1 for the Lance, summon Tawny, pick up the Lance. He's double checking placement. He's gonna move the placement on that really quick. He's got Colicky Dragonettes. I think he was trying to get it. He was trying to get it in position to remove Tawny, but he can't, just because those other pieces are blocking it. He's playing Dragonette. It's pretty risky to play that Dragonette, just because the kobolds are there already. If he had a desert in his hands, all he would have to do is play the desert, and the Colikies would be removed at the end of turn. He's thinking about drawing a site. I mean, he's thinking about drawing a site. If he draws a site for turn, the Colikies are basically taken care of, or he could ping Tawny off the board again if he wanted to do it that way instead. Or excuse me, I guess the desert wouldn't do it just because the Colakis are under the Jihad. So Colakis is sitting at 4 power. And the desert would only ping for 1. The kobolds would strike for 2. He would have to come up with another way to deal another point of damage, which he could still do. He could still fly Tawny in to attack the Colakis for a point, and then resummon Tawny. But he's still Stu is still contemplating what card to draw here. I think he feels like it's probably a pretty important turn. He's gonna go for that site. It is not a desert; it's a forge. The forge still giving him some tools here. He could play the forge under his Tawny, create the lance, and then attack into the Kalaki Dragonets. And at end of turn, the kobolds could still strike the Dragonets, and he can remove the Dragonets that way, in that way. He's going to attack with his red caps for 3 points. Attack with his red caps for 3 points. He still has at least one way to remove the Colakis. I'm taking a look at what else is in his hand there. I think I see a fire breathing. Fire breathing, pretty useful for him, but maybe not as useful in this situation. He's going to attack with the Quarrelsome Kobolds for 2 points of damage. Steve opting not to block with the Colakis again. I think he was afraid of getting baited into losing the Colakis. But unfortunately, I feel like Stu probably still has a way to remove them. I mean, if you're Steve, you have to assume that the kobolds are going to strike the Colakis at end of turn, so that's 2. So Steve only really has to do 2 more points of damage to his piece to get it removed off the board. Playing out that forge, giving Tawny the lance. He's paying the 1 for it. That leaves him with the 3 mana. 3 mana in his mana pool. It looked like he was going to play a Minor Explosion. He was contemplating it, but he's rethinking. He's going to do that play that we were discussing earlier. So, striking with Tawny to deal 2 points. And then the kobolds at end of turn will strike for 2. And that will remove the Dragonets. Yeah. So opting to just use Tawny and the lance instead of spending the Minor Explosion. Passing turn over to Steve again. Steve with a desert. A lava flow for all 5 mana in his mana pool to clear the board there. And then swinging in for 2 points of damage onto Stu's forge, breaking that lance. Stu drawing a spell for turn. Starting the turn with 4 mana. Tapping for... Does he have a sight in his hand? He's tapping to draw a sight. He didn't have a sight in his hand. He has 2 Minor Explosions in his hand, which seems pretty powerful for him. Looks like he drew... He didn't draw into, but he has a Clamor of Harpies. Yeah, he's gonna play out the Clamor of Harpies. It will teleport and kill Tawny. And he's passing turn back. Stu's still in control of this game, despite Steve getting out of that early Jihad. I think it's just unfortunate for Steve. He didn't have the minion draws to really make the most effect of that jihad early. Playing a monstrous lion, trying to attack the clan of harpies, forgetting that the harpies have airborne. So then instead changing his attack to the druid. So 4 points in. And then passing turn back to Stu. Starting his turn with 4 mana in his mana pool, and then he has another site in his hand. Looks like it's another town. He's thinking about is Stu taking a step forward? Taking a step forward. He's got a lava flow in his hand too. He's just gonna spend a minor explosion for 3 to bring him down to 8. Attack with the clan of harpies to bring him down to 5. I think that only leaves him with 1 mana left for turn. And then Stu joking that he did his math wrong. I think maybe he thought that he had enough mana to cast something else, but he did not. So I don't know if he thought that he could maybe get him the door or something, but it looks like Steve gets another turn to come up with something here. Another sinkhole from Steve. Bringing his mana up to 6. He does get a tawny on the sinkhole, summoned to the sinkhole. He hasn't flipped his avatar yet, and he can't flip this turn. But still all mana in his mana pool. He can attack in for another 5 points of damage. Excuse me, with the lion. Spending a fire breathing for 4 points of damage, and then attacking him for 5 points of damage with the monstrous lion. Getting Stu really close to the door here. But I think Stu has all the tools he needs to get Steve to door on this turn. He just has to do 5 points of damage. Stu also just still has a handful of cards here in the game. He's got 4 spells, 1 sight. Torse Hammer, Minor Explosion. He's got a fire breathing still. He's got a lot of ways to deal with these pieces on the board. He's got a lot of options. So, for example, he could just move forward with his avatar and fire breathing, and then attack the site with the harpies to do the 5 points of damage necessary to bring Steve to door. He could tap to flip the druid, but instead I think he's tapping to play a site to resummon Tawny. The site puts him at 6 mana. Or 5 mana, excuse me. 1 mana for a Torse Hammer. And then 4 for the fire breathing. So he's going to play the fire breathing where he is on the board now. It'll only deal the fire breathing will only deal 1 point of damage. But the harpies with the Torse Hammer will deal 4, which is enough to bring him to door. Steve's starting his turn on the door now. he has the lion to bring Stu to door. And he just needs a way to survive once he's at door. So, yeah, going ahead and attacking with the Monstrous Lion to bring Stu to door on this turn. So now they are both at door. Flipping his Druid for Brune. Trying the Red Cap Poweries to attack the Clamor of Harpies. Steve always forgetting about Airborne and just not being able to attack into Airborne without having that keyword. So he's just summoning. He's summoning the Red Caps instead under the Jihad. Unfortunately, yeah, just hoping that Bruin can tank the Harpies. But no, unfortunately, Stu's got that Minor Explosion. So Minor Explosion onto the site with Bruin and the Druid on the same site. Does all the damage to the Druid, 6 points to kill the Druid, and then attacking him with the Harpies for that final point. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.